Plot twist. Still alive!
I always get sweaty in my armpits whenever I start. It's very
It's like the Saturday Night Live. You're like,
yes, sniff them, and then I smell it.
what a
You know what I'm
great start
talking
to
about.
this. Like, you should leave that in
Yes.
there.
If you don't think that shit is going to be part, I'm sure Riverside will pick it out and be like, we're leaving the smelly armpits.
It's a clip. It's like the very first clip you have.
Superstar. Come watch the shit show. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Plot Twist. Still alive. I am your hostess with the mostest, 3-time cancer survivor and chaos coordinator, Crystal with a K. Welcome back, bitches. I am so grateful that you guys are back to listen. Guess who's back? Back again. And this is technically only my second vodcast. I know I'm old. I'm not supposed to call it a fucking vodcast, but here we are calling it that anyway because fuck the rules, okay? So I think one thing that people need to know is the reason I was starting to do video is because it opens up the opportunity to talk to all types of people in all other places. And so after doing one recently, just an interview with two crazy guys that play hockey, I actually found this gentleman. Well, we talk about all types of hard shit. And the goal is to find out what got you through it and how to give hope to other people that might be enduring the same thing. You know my story already, Franken titties, breast cancer 3 times because God has favorites. But I wanted to bring on someone today, and they actually are an MS survivor. And I feel like him and I have a lot in common with how we've taken it on. I'm really excited to have him here. So everybody say hello to Adam. Say hi, Adam.
Hello, everybody. And Crystal, it's great to officially meet you. And I'm so happy to be here. And I can't wait to like swear a bunch with you. And
yeah, let me
get
start.
some dark humor there. And it's going to be fantastic.
I love it so much. Dark humor is my love language.
Oh,
so
yeah. As I like to call it, I call it self-defecating humor.
Yes. Instead of deprecating, you're defecating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like you shit on yourself and it's hilarious.
It is really fucking funny. Except for in the moment. Usually it's not, especially if you don't have pants to change into.
I mean, it happens, right?
Shit happens, literally.
It does.
By the way, I'm digging the fucking like Coolio from the 90s hair. I just love it so much. I noticed that whenever I saw you on Instagram and I was like, I had a shaved head
my whole life because I have super thick curly hair. When it grows out, I mean, it is legitimately an afro. Like I'll have to show you pictures when I take my braids out. So I have shaved it my entire life. But then once this happened to me and I got diagnosed with MS and had to go off work and had to do all that stuff, I said, screw it. I'm growing my hair out. I'm growing my beard out. I want to get dreads for the first time in my life. So I just let everything go and just went with it.
That your reasoning for shaving your head is actually the exact opposite reason why most men especially shave their heads. It's usually because they can't grow fucking hair.
Have too much hair.
Yeah, you're see, everybody wants curly and they want straight. Men are like that too. You're welcome. So let's fucking kick this off. And just so you know, if you haven't listened to Plot Twist, then you don't know. But we talk about hard shit. We talk about real shit, raw shit. But we also use dark humor as a coping mechanism. If that's not your thing, maybe don't listen. But if you're fucking this deep in it, we're at like episode 2028 at this point, you know what the fuck is going on. So anything else is your fault after this point. So Adam,
real quick, I'm gonna blow your mind real fast, so because I thought about it. So
I love it. You look like you were electrocuted.
I wasn't joking. I know I wasn't joking.
Fucking crazy.
I've had people that have called me Marv because of Home Alone, and I've been in their phone as Marv for like 20 years.
I love the reference too. Do you braid your own hair, or does somebody else do that shit for you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
you gotta find a talented person.
I don't even know how it's done.
Okay.
Like my fingers don't work like that. There's no way.
How long does it take?
When we first started doing it, it was about 3 hours, but now it's down to about 2. Like she's gotten quicker.
She had to learn your hair probably.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing with like texture and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's fucking awesome. It just reminds me of like the 90s/2000s, which is my vibe for sure. Yeah. But anyway, let's get to the real shit now. Enough about style. I'd love to hear a little bit about what your life was like prior to diagnosis, because I think sometimes some of us are prepared with life already kind of being hard. And some of us, it's like life was great. And then fucking bam, you know? So I want to hear your perspective. What was yours like?
Mine was the second one. Prior to, I was a workaholic. I was big. I was strong. I was an athlete. I was going to concerts. I worked for UPS. I was an on-road supervisor. So I was like the driver's boss, basically. So I was the UPS driver's boss. I worked like crazy. I went to concerts like crazy. I partied. I'm 6'5", but I'm like skinny now. I put on a little bit of weight, but back in the day, I mean, I was 240 pounds. I was a big, strong guy. I was in the prime of my life, 37 years old, working in a career that I loved and just doing my thing. And then this MS hit and it just completely turned my life upside down in an instant. I lost everything that I had.
Yeah. What was that process like? I mean, I would imagine you started having different symptoms. Did it hit quick or were there things over time that you noticed?
It hit quick. Summer of 2018, me, my brother-in-law, and a good family friend, Dave, we put a roof on his house, the three of us, on 2 different weekends. And that's how healthy I was then, carrying all the shingles and stuff up and down ladders, and we just did it. October hits and my feet all of a sudden feel like they were dipped in concrete and they just hurt and they don't work right. They were just weird. I, of course, wrote it off because I was working down in Columbus at the time and I was on my feet for like 16 hours a day. I had just bought new boots. So all these things factored in and I was like, okay, it's new boots. I'm fine. I'll be okay. Didn't even worry about it. Wrote it off.
New boot goofing. It's cool. Right. It's no big deal.
Yeah. And, and I'm not working my normal job. I was inside, all that stuff. So I was like, whatever, I'll be fine. So it's Christmas time now and I would get home from work and my legs, they feel like cold. They're really cold and they're not warming up. That's just weird. But then I'd be like, well, I was just outside in the cold for 12 hours delivering packages. So of course my legs are going to be cold. It'd be stupid if they weren't cold. So I wrote that off. And then I remember specifically it was Christmas Day. I went over to my sister's house and I had this lower back pain. Felt like there was a vice grip on my spine that was just horrible. And I also had this like severe lower abdominal groin type pain. And I could barely stand up and barely walk. And that's what actually made me go to the doctor because I didn't know what was wrong. And my primary, he thought it was a hernia, which I was like, okay, that makes sense. I could see that being a thing. And so I went to a hernia specialist and he told me it's not a hernia, but it's something that I've never heard of in my life still to this day. He said it was a sports hernia. In my not very vast knowledge of the medical world, a hernia is when things poke out of things that are not supposed to be there, right?
Right.
So how is it something different if it's not
I mean, I would
that?
only think, is it related to sport injury? Maybe that's the term. I don't know.
You would think, wouldn't that still be a hernia though?
Right. It would be treated the same, you'd imagine,
But he said it was not a hernia. So basically, I was blown away by that. But what he did was he had me go to physical therapy. So I was still working at the time. I took myself off road though, because I couldn't do the on road stuff anymore because I couldn't walk that much. I couldn't get up and down the truck that much. My legs were just weird. My balance was off. Things were just off. And so I went to therapy and luckily it helped my lower back pain. It helped my groin pain, all that stuff. That got better. But while I was there, I was complaining about my balance. I was complaining about not being able to do things that I normally used to do. Like I couldn't stand on one foot anymore. I could barely jump. I couldn't use the balance board at all. If I stood too long, my legs would just sink. They wouldn't hold me up anymore. And I'm not a complainer either. So let's put that out there right now. But I was complaining about all these things because my body was revolting on me and I didn't know what was happening. Eventually, a couple months of this, and my physical therapist told me, she's like, I think you should go back to your regular doctor. You might need to see a neurologist. And I was like, why? Why would I need to do that? And she actually said, you might have MS. And my immediate question to her was, what's that?
I don't know a lot about MS. Can you give me what that is?
I'll give it the layman's version, but I was in the same boat. I didn't even know what it was. I had to ask what MS stood for. It stands for multiple sclerosis. Okay. So basically, here's a dumbed down version of it. And I actually like this analogy. What MS does is it attacks the myelin sheath. Myelin sheath is the covering on your nerves. So it can be anywhere. It doesn't matter where it is. Any covering on your nerves, it eats away at it. And then that nerve doesn't fire correctly anymore. That's as layman as you can get. A good analogy for it is a phone charger. this one's pretty good right now. But we all know the older ones, when they get frayed and edged and you have to move it around 1,000 times to get it into your phone to make it charge. That's basically what's happening, because the nerves aren't firing correctly. And so they're firing, but it's not going where it's supposed to. So
and correct me if I'm wrong, but with this, myelin sheaths don't regenerate like some cells.
Correct. They do not.
So once they're gone, they're gone.
Once they're gone, they're gone. And
it's permanent.
The only way that you can tell that you have MS is by looking at MRIs and seeing the lesions. Those are called lesions. So once the myelin sheath has been damaged, a lesion appears. The damage is already there and you're already screwed by the time you see it coming on. So will this start in certain areas generally, i.e. your legs and your feet, or is it just a random crapshoot where it will start? 100% completely erratic. That's the crazy part. So when I had my first MRI, I had like over 30 lesions in my brain and like over a dozen on my spine. So the spinal ones are the ones that usually affect your mobility, and brain ones are usually the ones that affect your speech, your this, your that, your optic nerve, all that other stuff. So, but you don't know how it's going to affect it. Like somebody can have one lesion and be completely paralyzed, and other people could have 50 of them and you wouldn't even know.
So it's all based on the location on your brain or your spine.
Correct.
I'm assuming she gives you a layman's term so that you're comprehending what MS is. And this is your physical therapist, so it's not a diagnosis yet.
Right, correct.
And you're told this. What is your reaction to this?
At that point, I was just like, okay, whatever. I just want to know what's wrong with me, because obviously something's wrong. I want to know what it is so I can correct it. And that's all it was. So I did. I went back to my regular doctor and I said I should probably see a neurologist. I went and saw a neurologist. He was a complete piece of shit, but he did diagnose me correctly. I have primary progressive MS. He diagnosed quickly. This was in June. So by the time I started going to see a neurologist, it was like April. So April to June, I was already diagnosed.
So you're talking, this is like 8 months after you're starting.
It was October to June. Yeah, that was how quick it was.
Wow. And I mean, you say quick, but that's also even what you're talking about. Your like quality of life for what your normal is was declining fast.
Yes.
To me, that's fast. Like to have
that
only 8 months and you're
fast.
So he diagnosed you correctly. Look, just because they're good at diagnosing doesn't mean they're the best bedside manner or even good or the right one for you. So
right. And I learned that very quick because he did diagnose me. He had all these plans for me of what we were going to do. I could only get on like one drug because at the time there was only one approved for primary progressive MS.
And what year was this, if you don't mind me asking?
This was 2019. So I got diagnosed in June of 2019.
Okay.
But he also told me that I would probably be in a wheelchair within 5 or 6 months. And then he just left it at that. Like there was nothing else to like be like, hey, or you could try to do this to avoid it or do this. He's like, no, you'll probably be in a wheelchair in like 5, 6 months. And he's like, okay, have a good day. That was how it went.
So fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
What
sucks, what really sucks about it and how shitty that guy was, he was right. He was 100% correct.
Obviously, as a healthcare professional, he should be telling you the truth, but not like, okay, next, who's the next guy? Like, fuck this guy. It doesn't matter. That's hard. I can't imagine. So when he's telling you that you're going to be in a fucking wheelchair, it's real at that point, and that is your diagnosis. What were you thinking then?
I didn't really know. As soon as I got diagnosed, I had to go off work. So that was the first thing that was on my mind was, how does this work? How do I go off work? I have not worked in 20 plus years. I've always been working since I was a teenager. I'm working multiple jobs. So that was where my mind went first. How do I finagle this so that I can
have a job?
Still have a job. Yeah. And still get paid, because now I'm going to need it, because now I need the benefits and now I need insurance and now I need this and this and that. So that was where I went first. That was my main concern, was how do I get through this? I remember I burned through 6 weeks of vacation because I got the diagnosis. He took me off work for 6 months, but I didn't have a follow-up until late July. So I took every week of vacation I could so that I wasn't not at work, because I hadn't officially been taken out yet.
When I first was diagnosed with breast cancer and I was 32, I was a nurse. They didn't have the ability to put me like on a desk job because I was a floor nurse. My first worry was death, obviously. I think that's pretty normal, right? With something that could be terminal at some point. But the second thing was, holy fuck, how do I work a full-time job when this is also where my benefits are at? And I just think it's really sad that that's how we're like almost wired.
That's where we go first. We are wired like that. We have
Because
to
we're
worry
like,
about
how do
ourselves
I-
because now I'm sick. So now I really need these benefits. I've never needed these benefits ever before in my lifetime. But now that I need it the most, now I can't work. So how does that work?
Well, and I was single. I was single with kids too. So were you single as well?
I was single, yeah.
Yeah. So you literally are the sole provider for yourself. And that's such an extreme thing that you can't even think, wow, I have this thing that's debilitating that is going to put me in a wheelchair that I'm not going to be able to walk. Your first thoughts are, well, fuck, I'm going to have to use my vacation time so that I'm not technically out of work until I can figure something else out.
I barely had time to think about that because there was so much bullshit and so much red tape with the short-term disability, the long-term disability, the insurance, the doctor. I found another doctor very quickly. Like within a couple months, I found a MS specialist at the University of Michigan. I'm still with him to this day. He was great. I wanted a second opinion. I got it. He agreed I had primary progressive MS. He called it the fastest, most aggressive case he had ever seen.
Holy shit.
So there's that. But he didn't leave it at that. He didn't tell me I was going to be in a wheelchair. He said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get you on this drug. We're going to get you some physical therapy. We're going to get you going, get some MRIs, get a baseline, get all this, get all that. So he had a plan. So I felt good. So that other doctor, that piece of shit, gone. Don't have to worry about him anymore. Or so I thought.
No.
Plot twist that this one sucks.
Okay, I think we're going to get back to that, I'd assume. To be continued.
We're getting here right now.
Hang on, we're getting
right now. So that's what I said earlier. I said that, he was right. He was right about me being in a wheelchair. The problem was it was his fault. What happened was everything that he was telling me and saying to me, taking me off work for those 6 months, I can't work. At the time I was walking on a cane still. It wasn't normal, but I could get by. There's no way I could have worked my job, obviously. Like that's not a question. But everything he sent into my employer said that I was okay.
What?
So I'm getting
it just looks like
I'm getting conflicting interests now. So I'm off work, but my doctor's saying I'm off work, but also saying I'm okay. So what happened was in November, I lost my insurance. The only reason I knew about it was because I was trying to figure out what my next step was because I knew I'd be switching over from like short term to long term. And I wanted to figure all that stuff out because that's how I am. I need to know this stuff. And I couldn't log into my portal at work, that my insurance portal or whatever. I couldn't log in. And so I'm like, well, this is weird. So I finally call him up and I say, hey, I'm having some troubles logging into this. I just want to know what's going on. I'm trying to check my benefits. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, well, the reason you can't log in is because you don't have insurance. You haven't had insurance since October 11th.
So almost a month.
I had not had insurance for either almost a month or over a month. And I didn't know.
Oh, my God.
So that sent me and my brain and my head into a fucking tailspin. MS is, and most other things, stress is 100% absolute killer. Oh. So the stress I was under put me into a massive flare, which made me not be able to walk. So like I said, he was the reason that I was not walking.
That all makes sense though. When people talk about stress being a killer, I mean, it's true. You look at people that have heart problems and things like that. Your body releases certain hormones when you're under stress, depending on what you have going on. And especially if you're talking about things that will affect your brain, of course it's going to cause a fucking problem. That is fucking nuts that happened to you. Fuck, man. I hate hearing stories like that. That makes me so angry that a person who's supposed to be advocating for you and that's their job is literally to help you have quality of life and deal with this and give you a plan was just like, no thanks. And then is also on the back end basically setting you up for failure by not putting the proper information out to your fucking job. That's insane. Were there any ramifications for that for him?
No. And I reached out to a lot of lawyers at the time and trying to get some, medical malpractice suit, but nobody would even touch it.
Doctors and the hospitals that they're in will cover all of that. And you're talking about you being one individual that would have to
correct.
Fight hard by yourself out of your own pocket.
The burden of proof is on me. And
you're also fucking fighting for your life at this point.
Exactly. So I reached out a couple times. They said no. And I was like, okay, that's it. We're done with it. This is where I am. I have to move on from here. So it took almost a month for me to get it back. between, I mean, we were talking hours and hours a day of calling my insurance, my job, my HR department, my everything. I wrote what I call like a UPS manifesto during all this time, like laying out everything that happened and all the bullshit that I had to go through. But I couldn't get my MRIs. I couldn't get on the Ocrevus, on my DMT that I needed to like stop my tailspin that was happening. So I could have got on that in November, but instead I didn't get on it until the end of January. And by then, all the damage had already been done.
So at this point, when you're doing all of these things physically, where are you at?
I'm still living in my own apartment. It's a second floor apartment. I can't drive at the time because I didn't trust my legs. I could walk on a cane. But when all this stuff hits, I had to be heavy on a walker. I had to borrow a wheelchair from like the senior center down the road. I had to move out of my apartment because I couldn't get up and down my 2 floors anymore. That's how fast this shit hit me.
Within a year, basically. In a year, your whole life shifted. Did you move in with family?
I had to move back in with my parents. Yeah.
Okay.
And luckily they're,
and that's
you know,
a whole
they're still
thing.
around and their whole, I mean, it's the fact that I lost all of my independence. I was always very independent. For a long time, I've always done everything on my own. I've always prided myself on that, to not being able to do anything at all, to not be able to drive, to not be able to walk, to have to live with my parents. And it just turned my life upside down. I remember when I moved out of my apartment, I had a 2-bedroom. So I had my 1 bedroom. My 2nd bedroom was like a library because I was a huge nerd. I loved reading. But in that library.
Did you say were? Are you not anymore?
Yes, I'm not anymore, unfortunately, because I can't comprehend as well anymore. I can't read as much because I can't remember what I'm reading while I'm reading
so that
it.
It even took that from you.
Yes, it took that. I can't focus on it anymore. And like I tried audiobooks too, but I could have an audiobook on all day long. And you ask me anything and I'd be like, I have no idea what they just said. Because like I can't focus, I can't retain. And so that got taken from me too. But in my closet in that library was all of my sports stuff. And I was packing stuff up to move and opening that closet. And it was like, I just broke down like in tears because I was like, well, there's my softball bag. I'll never be able to use that again. There's my soccer bag. I'll never be able to use that again. Here's my hockey bag. Won't be able to use that again. There's my motorcycle helmet. You know, all of that stuff was right there in my face and just stuff that I knew I would never be able to use again. And it was just heartbreaking. You know?
Well, it's the start of a grieving process. Literally, truly is grieving the person you got to be. And now not knowing what the fuck you're going to be, having to start facing that. Like, it's so real, it's tangible. I think a lot of people who face any sort of disease that's this extreme, you have a before and you have an after. And when you're in the between, you're some of it's grieving, you're doing some of that, but you're also in this like fight or flight survival thing you're doing too. I don't know if it was the same for you, but I would imagine yes.
Well, it was, because I was doing all this stuff and I got it all packed up. I moved into my parents. January came around and that's when I was able to get the drug that I needed to get on, and they're getting me back into physical therapy. We were trying to get to occupational therapy so I could try to do hand controls in my car so I could try to drive again. And it's great. And I go to about a month or so of physical therapy. And now it is March of 2020. Let's think of what happened in March of 2020.
COVID hits.
It fucking hit and destroyed the world and shut it completely down. So here I am getting back to all this stuff. I'm newly diagnosed. I have this autoimmune disease. Now I'm on this drug that knocks my immune system down. So now
you
I'm
definitely don't need to be around people.
immunocompromised. So I was terrified of COVID at first because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't go out. I didn't leave my house for 4 months. But that's not because I was terrified of it. It's because I couldn't walk. I couldn't drive. So I had to sit in my 4 walls of my house, in my room, and figure out what I've become. And that's when that process hit, where the only way that I could get out of it, and at that point in time, for those 4 months, I didn't know if I could. I didn't know if I was going to survive that process. I didn't know if there was going to be another side of it. That could have been the end of my story very easily. Or I could have gone into it and I could have came out and I could have started drinking. I could have been doing hard drugs and nobody would have even batted an eye at it.
It's crazy to me that would have been a valid thing to some people. I think to most people, when you see somebody having a really hard life and then they do some shit like that, you're like, I mean, I get it. I couldn't imagine. But I also want to commend you. And anyone that I talk to is like this, that has that mentality. Some people don't feel like it's a choice because that's just intrinsically who they are to fucking go through it. I'm one of those people.
Yes.
I never felt like I had a choice. But also now that I look back and when I talk to other people that are starting their journey, I'm like, make no fucking mistake. Every day you get up out of bed and you try, you make a choice, whether you realize that it's a choice or not. I get chills when I'm talking about it because every day you don't give up. Every day you fucking fight. Even the days you cry in bed, that is another day that you are doing your fucking best, whatever that day looks like. I want to commend you though, because you made the choice when you had every reason to give up, to start fucking using drugs, to start drinking, be an alcoholic, or even the darkest idea is not being alive, taking.
And they were there. They were there.
That is real though. I'm glad that you can acknowledge that. Everybody's different. If you already had any sort of depression in your family or any types of depression in your own life at some point, this is the worst place to be because your brain is gonna go there. So I want to give you a fuck ton of credit right now. We were all separated at times, but you weren't just separated. The things that were helping you with your diagnosis, I'm assuming could not do. You can't go to physical therapy.
Correct.
You can't go to
completely
occupational therapy.
Isolated.
Right. And not able to work on the things that really keep your symptoms at bay, or at least help you have some familiarity of the life before, a little bit of independence. So that's a fucking extreme dark hole. That sounds like a rock bottom.
It was pretty damn close.
You got to go like this though.
And my way out of it all on my own, 100% on my own. And what I had to do was what you just mentioned a little earlier. I had to make the very conscious decision and stare myself right in the mirror and kill that person that I was looking at. I had to kill my old self, and then I had to grieve for the loss of my own life in every step. And I had to go through every stage of that grief and killing my own self to be able to get out. So once I did that, I could get another grip and I could climb a little bit higher, and then I could climb a little bit higher. And then after a couple months now, things are starting to lighten up and I'm peeking out of that hole and the world opens up again. And that is when that light bulb came on in my head. And I basically said, fuck this. I am not going to be in a wheelchair anymore. I'm going to do whatever the fuck it takes to walk again. And that was all it took. Was the mental right there. The mental.
That's insane.
As much as I preach, and I preach the physical side of this stuff a lot, because I think it's extremely important. You know, movement is medicine. If you don't do it, you will lose it. Movement is medicine, but you cannot have the physical side if you don't have the mental side.
You have to have
You need to have both.
That's a priority.
Correct.
I don't know why my fucking references are always movies. Usually they're scary movies, but this one is not. Have you ever seen The Gray with Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
It's about the wolves. Okay. There's this part where he's fucking, it's at the end, right? Like, this is a spoiler alert. Anybody who hasn't watched it, it's a great movie, watch it. But he's sitting there, everyone's fucking been killed off by these goddamn wolves. And he's sitting there and he looks up at the sky and he's just like, where are you? He's like talking to God. And he's like, where are you? Show me. Like, show me. It's time. I need it. And then nothing happens. And he's like, fuck it. I'll do it myself. That is literally what I think of whenever I think of how I got out of my hole. Is that now I have to give people credit for supporting me through it. But the only person that could get me the fuck out of it was me. I had to get out of it myself.
Correct.
And no matter what, people can be dipping their hands in the darkness trying to help you. But if you aren't mentally ready to get the fuck out, you're not gonna.
Correct.
So you're 100%.
They can lead you to that water, but your ass is the only one that can drink. I had to. Like you said again earlier, I say it all the time. I didn't have a choice, but I did. And I had a very logical choice that I could have made. And I made that choice. But to me, I didn't have a choice because that other
it's
side,
just how you're made.
The other one is not an acceptable outcome. So that's not a choice for me. That's how my brain works. There was only one way, and I had to find a way to get there.
So as you're climbing out of your rock bottom, right? You made the conscious decision where it like clicked. Now you're starting the after part, right? Of let's figure out who the fuck I am now. That person's got to go because I can't be that anymore. What were some of the things that were helping you climb out of that hole? What were some of the things that you were thinking about that were motivation or tools that you were using to get yourself out?
Honestly, at that point, it was just the realization of, I said, fuck you, I'm going to walk again.
In spite of MS?
Yes.
Bitch?
Basically, yes. And it's what people ask me all the time, how did you do it? And my immediate response is because I'm stubborn as fuck.
And spiteful.
And spiteful, yes. This disease tried to tell me what to do, what I should be, who I can be, all this stuff. Like I said, in my medical charts, I'm a diagnosed paraplegic. It's right there. In my charts.
And so during this time, you were actually, quote, a paraplegic?
Still in the charts. It'll forever be in my charts.
What? So fucking doctors have to be like mind blown, or physical therapists. You walk in a new office and they're like, this bitch can walk. Like,
yeah. Like it's,
that is insane.
I got, like, when I finally got out of that hole and the world opened up again and I got back to therapy, I got connected with a neurophysical therapist named Jessica Benchley, and I cannot say enough kind words about that woman. I've been going to her now for almost 6 years. I owe basically everything to her because she taught me how to walk again. Yes, I did it on my own, but she gave me the tools and she pushed me, and she was there for my stubborn as fuck attitude and be like, let's just fucking do this. Like, you push the shit out of me. When I first started, I would get wheeled in there. We would try to get up on the walker, and I had braces on both of my knees. I had AFOs on both of my ankles. I looked like Herbert from Family Guy, you know, the old guy, yes. Hunched over. That was me. And like, the craziest fucking thing is my brain doesn't know where my legs are. My brain has no idea where they are. They're just gone. So when I was trying to learn how to walk, leaning on that walker, all braced up, I would just basically throw my foot out in front of me and hope for the best. And if I didn't fall down, I would throw my other foot out in front of me and hope for the best, and just repeat that over and over and over again. And then I would have to get wheeled out again because I couldn't walk out of there. And this was just over and over for, twice a week for months. This is how it went.
So out of curiosity, because you're saying in your brain, you can't really move. Usually you're like, think, move your leg. Move. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's automatic. When you go to get up and walk, you don't think, move this leg, move that leg. Whenever you're saying you threw your leg out, did you just go on visual? Like, I can see my leg move, so let's try the other one? Or how did
I'd have to look at it. I'd have to like really will it to get to where I wanted it to, but I couldn't do it without looking at it. And even now, like, almost 7 or 6 years later, if I'm laying in bed and I have like covers on, I am 100% convinced, like, say my right leg is bent, and then I will look at my leg and it is straight, or the other way around. Or I will have my legs crossed, but I don't know they're crossed until I move them and I can feel pressure. So they just don't know where they are.
Right.
What I've learned to do to combat that is I can't smoke weed. I can't take any painkillers. I cannot take my pain away, because the pain in my legs is
let you know where they're at.
That's my feedback. Yes, correct. Yeah. So
You're
I'm so in tune with it. Like, when I'm bending my leg, I know where the pain is. That helps me know where they are. And I can't take that away. And I tried the whole marijuana thing. A lot of people with MS swear by it. I wish it would help me, but I can't. Because if I don't have pain or I get high, I can't walk. And that's not acceptable for me.
Well, for you and for what you want. Look, pain, it's definitely a symptom, and it's something that is problematic for people. Mm-hmm. I think, again, I'm not discounting people that have any type of disease. Everybody's pain tolerance is different. Sometimes it's the lesser of two evils. You're like, I have to live in pain, but this pain is also a way for me to walk. So you have to trade off what you're willing to live with for your quality of life versus what you're not. And again, just from the pain perspective, I have chronic pain and I have chronic nerve damage from all the surgeries that I've had. And I'm not comparing at all. I'm just saying I also have small kids. I also like to poop. So I don't take pain meds the way that I think some people do. I don't knock them for doing it. It's just for me and my quality of life.
Not at all.
That's not my route. I don't think people always realize sometimes you have to sacrifice some things in order to have that. Like, even to be able to walk, you're having to live in pain every day, basically.
And that's, you know how it goes. You worked in the nursing. Like, what's the first thing I ask you when you go to a doctor's appointment?
0 to 10, what's your pain?
0 to 10, what's your pain? What's my answer? Every time, 7 or 8.
And that's where I live.
And the response is, what? I said, yeah, that's what it is. And then I go see the doctor, and the first thing they ask is, you're a 7 or 8. Do you want any pain pills? Do you want any painkillers? Nope, can't do it. This is what it is. And in my mind, the way it works is, if I am always at a 7 or 8, well, then that number might as well be 0 because it's
Well, your
always
normal.
there. It's not,
your
that's
normal.
my normal. Like,
Right.
I'm not worried when it's a 7 or 8. I'm worried when it's a 10. That's
Right.
when I'll say something. But
Yes,
7
please.
or 8, that's normal. That's every day for me. That's your 0.
It's crazy when it becomes normal, so that like you're stoic. You're not going to be sitting there writhing like somebody else who might be at a 7. So it's just, pain is a patient by patient thing. Giving you huge props for this and a fuck ton of credit, because you have to live in that in order to walk and to have the quality of life that you want. Obviously, you said you had this incredible woman. I want to give her a shout out one more time.
Jessica Benchley.
Fucking shout out to her.
Hell
For
yeah.
all the doctors that might suck or physical therapists, there are some really incredible ones. And just like you did, getting a second opinion, I want to encourage people to do that. It's not a one-stop shop. You got to find what works for you.
If you do not like your doctor, fire them and find somebody that works for you.
They work for you 100%.
Correct.
And sometimes you can start out, and after a little bit, you're like, you know what? The longevity of this maybe isn't there anymore. And that's okay too. Again, they work for you. So you get her on board. You've been with her for 6 years. You found that pain meds are not for you. Are there any other things that you feel like contributed to your quality of life, medical or medicinal? You said moving your body. So what has brought you to where you're at this point?
It's the combination of like where we started when I was braced and I was just moving my legs, hoping for the best. Once that got a little better, we tried to get me off of the walker and onto like walking sticks. So I wasn't as hunched over, which was cool. But the first thing we had to do was we had to spend 3 months correcting all the damage that the walker had done.
Okay.
You know, my lower back, my hips from being hunched over. So we had to correct all that first. And then we tried doing the walking sticks. And then my therapist says, we need to get you out of your AFOs. AFOs, they go under your foot and they go up the back of or usually the back of your calf, and they strap. So your legs, your ankles can't tip
like
backwards.
This.
Yes, it's just stuck there.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it doesn't roll. It doesn't do any of that. It's good for a time being. For me, it always felt like I was going to tip over backwards because I couldn't lean forward because it wouldn't let me. So I had to deal with walking with those for months. And then my therapist says, we need to get you out of those braces and we need to teach you how to use your ankles again. And I said, okay, let's do it. And that was it. Never wore them again. Like we started out and had to do like the very small, minuscule movements of learning how to get my ankle to move, to roll. And that's how we started. And then I could start using it again. And then I was able to drive again. So I finally got hand controls in my car. It was like November of 2020. And then in March, I went on a road trip out to Montana. Like I drove to Montana.
How far is that from Michigan?
Like 29 hours.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I went on a road trip to Montana because I had to get my tattoo worked on because that's where it is. Yep.
Okay. So that was another question. I noticed your hair, your Coolio hair, gangster paradise type shit. Been spending most of
that's right.
times in. Okay, sorry. And then your tattoos. I was going to ask you, were you all tatted prior to this?
I was pretty tatted prior.
Okay.
But I've gotten a lot more since.
Okay.
But so
I love it.
Like this isn't why I'm tatted. Like I did get a lot of MS inspired tattoos. Like my knuckles say MS Warrior across them, you know?
Fuck yeah.
And
they do.
I have one, my very first tattoo that I got. I stole it from cancer. I stole it from fuck cancer. So I have the F in the skull and the CK, fuck MS. I just straight up got fuck MS on my leg.
Well, that's not stealing it. We can say fuck a lot of things.
Yeah,
fuck cancer and MS. We can fuck
my
them all.
other one I got because I love telling this story, but every year I do a tattoo event as a fundraiser at a church, an actual live working church. So you can get tattooed in a church.
I love that.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
I mean, they're getting a lot more wide open with things. As they should.
Which is
Most
cool.
of us are tatted.
That's what I loved it. That's why I got on board because I like heard about it and I was like, dude, a church that actually likes tattoos and is celebrating them. This is perfect. So then
Jesus and tats, say less.
Yeah. Me and the pastor started talking and I started telling her my story and she's like, hey, do you want to be involved in this? I'm like, yes, I do. Because at first it was just, you would go there, you would talk about your tattoos, you would celebrate it, you get blessed, you could do all this. And so she got me on board, and I was like, how about we actually get a tattoo artist in here? And she's like, can we do that? And I'm like, yes, we can. And so
we make the rules.
We did it. And we've done it for a couple of years now. So I got one of my other ones that says unstoppable, because that's just like my mantra. And then
Because
my last one I have, it's kind of ironic in a sense. My right leg is a fully biomechanical leg tattoo. So all the skin rips, all the tears. I even have a little Easter egg in there where I have the Skynet symbol on my knee from Terminator. You know, and on one of the, not the skin rip part, but where like it's a metal brace or whatever, I got that tattooed on there.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So like
MS'd with the wrong
MFer.
MFer. Yeah.
That's right. That's the brand.
It's copywritten, okay? Okay. Adam's already got it. He did the work for it. Yes. And so we got on the topic. I always squirrel. I love squirreling. It's my favorite
squirreling's great. Yeah.
Yes. So you went to Montana. You get this cool ass fucking tattoo in Montana, but also it's fucking Montana, which is one of the most beautiful states. I have yet to be there, but that's on a bucket list for sure.
It was the first time I had ever been there, and it was absolutely beautiful. I went back 2 years later because I had to get the rest of my arm finished, but I got to go to Glacier National Park. I just Montana was absolutely gorgeous.
I've heard really good things about Glacier. Definitely on the list. But also, I do think nature, for me, it's been something I've leaned into more over the last few years. And pushing yourself physically, but also just seeing fucking everything that I can now. I'd imagine that for you, life is not something you take for granted anymore.
I was about to say that exact same thing. Like I went out there.
It's because we got it right here, boo.
I went out there. And, you know, obviously I went there for the tattoo. Like my plan for that trip was go to Montana, get tattooed, go out to see one of my good friends in California that used to live here, and then go see my cousin in Colorado. I was going to do a little loop, a road trip in a hand control car that I've only had for 4 months. You know,
this is just your first time taking a long one since
yeah, I'm just going to go. But what it turned into was I went to 7 different national parks on that trip.
I fucking love
anyone
that.
I drove by, I would just go to. And like you said right there, it's this, as shitty as this disease is, it slowed me down and it let me see like the beauty in nature, things that I would never have done when I was working. Because when I was working, I would take a vacation, and what would I do? I would get tattooed, I would heal from the tattoo, I would go to concerts, I would play sports, and I would drink beer. That was it.
Which is fine.
And then I would go back to work. You know, yeah, it is.
Right.
It is. And at the time it was. But if anyone would have said, you're going to go on a 3-week road trip and go to a bunch of state parks, I'd have been like, fuck you, I'm not doing that. But now I'm like, man, this is fantastic.
I mean, let's be real. Most people should fucking live like this, regardless. I don't think it should take a diagnosis, but a lot of times it does.
Unfortunately, yes.
Like you say, fuck MS. I say fuck cancer. But I also am grateful for the fucking ticking clock that is so obvious now over my head, and me having to face my own mortality.
Yes.
And also, not just that, because the biggest part about MS isn't necessarily like, hey, you're going to die right now. It's the deterioration of your body and not being able to have control of it anymore.
Thank you. Yes, that is, I had to come to terms with that. I had to come to terms with the fact that every day that I live is the best day that I'm going to have.
Yes.
Because the next one is going to be worse. You know, I know that's a dark way of thinking about it, but that's really what it is. It's only ever going to get worse. It's never getting better. So what do you do with right now? Made me realize I had to live my life to the fullest right now. While I can. While I'm walking, even though I'm not supposed to be walking, I need to be living it up. Just get out there and do. And so like that road trip to Montana, I said, it was a huge road trip. 2 years later, I did an even bigger one. I went coast to coast. I was gone for 37 days. I drove almost 10,000 miles on one trip.
Were you doing this shit solo? Holy fuck. That is incredible. That is so fucking cool.
Like
you're my hero.
That trip, the almost 10,000 mile trip, coast to coast, I got a video of the sunrise in the Pacific Ocean. I got a video of the sun rising in the Atlantic Ocean.
That's so amazing.
And in between there, I met 24 different people with MS that I knew from different groups or on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I met 24 different people just traveling the country.
That kind of segues us into the next part. So obviously you were figuring out your own way to survive this and what your life was going to look like now, Adam with MS, right? But the fact that you said, I went and visited 24 people that also have MS, because make no mistake, when people like you take something like this on and you find a way to be positive about it and you find a way to defy odds, regardless of what the fuck your actual diagnosis is, it's inspiring to people. And the connections with others that have it, you're either inspiring them, they're inspiring you, or you guys can just both be like, hey, I fucking get it, which I've talked about in a previous episode called The Bond with my breastie, Stacy.
You can just say, hey, this shit sucks. And you're like, yep.
And you don't have to worry about
bond.
Yes. It's fucking weird, right? You both fought the same monster and you're like, yeah, this fucking sucks. And nobody else gets that we don't have nipples anymore. Nobody else gets that I can't move my fucking leg, but I do somehow. What have you done since then? You talked a little bit about the tattoo thing that you set up with the hallelujah, praise the Lord, Jesus people, which I love so much. But also, like, what things have you done since then that, again, I'm speaking from experience, I found a way to give my cancer purpose by finding a way to help the communities that have breast cancer and help raise money for those things. So what are you doing? Because
that's kind of what I did. Like I got involved with like a Moves MS group, and they do yoga. It's free. It's just donation only. It's mainly for MS and Parkinson's. They have online classes or in person. I'd never done yoga in my life, and I got into it and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. That's what opened up the door to me to all these different support groups. So then I started getting into like in-person support groups that I could actually go and meet people and talk to them about this stuff, because I didn't have any of that before. And that opened me up to getting onto Instagram and getting into support groups there, finding this, finding that. And then I started doing the National MS Society walk, the Walk MS. And we started out and I was on the team with one of my support groups. And I think we raised like $1,000 that year as a team. And like my own, my personally, I think I raised like $6,000. And I was oh, this is cool, man. So the next year I broke off onto my own and I started a new team. And guess what it was called? Right there, MS with the wrong MFer. That's when I started making shirts. So I come out that next year and they see what I could do. And I am actually like the keynote speaker for this MS walk now. So I had a Detroit Lion introduced me to talk. What? And I got to tell like a quick little like 3-minute bit of my story. I had friends that were there from elementary school afterwards were like, dude, your speech like made me cry. It's insane what you've been through. And so then I was like, holy shit, like I'm good at this. Like I'm good at fundraising. I think that first year my team raised, me personally, my team, I think it was like 20 some thousand again. In 5 years, I have personally raised over $70,000 for the MS Society.
That's fucking
I'm good at
amazing.
I started doing that tattoo event. I do my big one that I do every year. Unfortunately, I'm not doing it this year because I'm just too busy. I do a motorcycle run at a local bar, and I get all kinds of stuff. I get local businesses to donate stuff. I do auctions. I have a band play. I make shirts. I have my stickers. I have patches. I have all kinds of merch. I have cups made. Like I'm good at this shit.
You donate the funding, or like, do you have your own 501c3 nonprofit? Because if you don't, you really should.
I've been doing it for the MS Society, but the main goal and what I've always wanted to do is actually make the MS with the wrong MFer a nonprofit. And so that's what I'm working on.
Fuck yes.
I got to the point where I was good at that. And I never thought I would be a fundraiser. I never thought I would be going to all these businesses, all the different podcasts like with you that I've done. Like I couldn't even tell you how many I've done. Like I'm just very loud about this. I literally wear it on my sleeves. Like it's right here, you know? And so people see that. Being a younger male is rare in the world of MS. MS is like a 70% dominated women's disease.
I know several people whose moms are female.
And
all the people I know are female.
That's what I learned early on. I was like, everybody knows somebody that has it, but it's usually their aunt or their grandma.
Right.
And then there's me, who's this young, in the prime of his life, got destroyed guy, all tatted up, crazy hair, beard. Like I just bring a whole different perspective to it, a whole different world to it.
I don't even think it's just your look alone. When you meet people that are like you, you're very genuine, you're authentic. And that is something that you can see through that if somebody is not.
Right.
And so you being able to do that, but also fucking public speaking is not for the faint of heart either. Still scary, even if you're good at it. But for you to be able to evoke emotion of other people through
Right.
your storytelling, that is a huge strength. That's why I was like, you better have your own fucking nonprofit. I'm going to be checking up because if you don't, I'm going to kick you in the ass.
My sister and I are trying to work on it. She's going to be like the financial side of it, and then I'm going to be the
You're
front
like,
man.
I'm out here for the looks.
She doesn't want it. She wants nothing to do with being on the front side of it. And I was like, perfect. Because I want nothing to do with all the little tedious crap. You can do all that.
You handle that.
I'm like the big idea guy.
Yes.
But yeah, like you said with the public speaking, like I got loud. I did a solo talk last year at a college in Michigan, and it was just telling my story, and there was like 40 some people in person, but there was almost 100 people virtually. And I talked for like 45 minutes, and then I think I fielded like 35 to 40 minutes of questions, and it was just amazing. It was amazing.
Wild.
So that was like the first thing I did, and I shared it all out. And so I wanted to start doing more of that. I want to get out there and talk more. And people have had, like I said, the podcast and stuff. But I just got back yesterday from Fargo, North Dakota, because somebody finally had
put someone in a wood chipper.
In a wood chipper. I was a keynote speaker, little black dress and tie for MS. And I went out there, and it was a beautiful event. There was like 200 and some people there. I even got dressed in a suit and tie, which I hate, but I did. I had my hair pulled back. Like, I looked good. I hated it because I don't like being dressed up. I don't like collars at all. I am 100% perfect in a t-shirt and a hoodie. So I told my story in 25 minutes. So I had to take some stuff out. I couldn't talk as much about the insurance crap and stuff that we touched on here, but I got the meat and potatoes of it. But afterwards, I had so many people come up to me and, say what an inspiration I am. I had one guy was my favorite because he walked right up to me and he shook my hand, and all he said to me is, "You're a bad motherfucker." I was like, yeah, I laughed. I was like, yeah, I try. And he was like, "No, you don't have to try. You're a bad motherfucker." I was like, all right.
You just are.
Got it. You just are. That's what he said. But I was talking to ladies that put it on, and they just kept saying how much they've been hearing about how great it was because I was so real and I was so raw and I was so just in the moment, and it wasn't just a canned speech. And they had asked me beforehand, they're like, "Do you have a script? Do you have this? Or you want us to we can put it on like the teleprompter, you can have a script and all that stuff?" And I said, no. I was like, that's not how I work. I don't do that. I had a tiny little bit of notes because I was like, I need to hit this. I need to hit this. That's it. I was looking over it before I went up there, and then I just got up there, and then it just goes from there. You just read the room, you read the crowd. It's just, another thing I never thought I was good at, public speaking.
I like that you said that because a lot of public speakers don't acknowledge that part of it. So I learned how to read people when I was a bartender years ago, and it served me well in every job I've had. But more specifically with public speaking, I make eye contact with my audience, which is scary for some people. But also I can tell if someone's like zoning out and I need to fucking change the subject. I don't care. I act like I am the star of the fucking Emmys or some shit. I will go up there and literally do call outs and make people pay attention and point at them and call them Silver Fox or Poindexter, make them laugh. Because if I can make them laugh, they're going to want to listen to me. And they like me.
Yes.
I'm likable.
See, I was doing that. I had just got done telling them about like the whole COVID situation, and it got dark and it got serious and it's a deep conversation when there's a guy up there telling you that he had to kill himself to be able to live. It's dark, and you could see the crowd, you could see people. But then 5 minutes later, I told a story about how I fell down and broke a finger and a rib at the same time and had the entire room laughing.
Right. But it should be a roller coaster. Right. The biggest thing you're supposed to be giving out of everything, even when you hit the dark shit, it makes it more human. But also when you make them laugh and you bring that up, you give them hope too, that you're still standing up there, literally a paraplegic standing in front of them telling their fucking story. And that is what most people who are diagnosed with anything that you're like with MS, that's what they need. The people that want to donate the money, because a lot of people that are in that room, they don't have MS. Nope. They don't know anyone that has MS. You are fucking living and breathing with MS. You are a real life person who has felt deep depression. You have been through the hardest. You've thought the worst things, and you're still fucking here. Yep. And to me, that is what any good gala or any good thing that has public speakers, if you're not getting someone that's been through that, you're actually really missing out on the funding that can be raised for specific disease.
So if you know anyone that needs somebody to talk, send them my way.
Dude, I will have my ear to the
honestly,
ground now.
What I do and what you do, I think our talks, they transcend illness. So it just,
they do.
If people actually listen, it's any adversity. That's all it is. It's not,
True.
It doesn't have to be a chronically ill thing. It's any adversity. You have to just get it mentally, get your head right, focus on it, get a detailed plan, just go through it. And anyone can do it. My dad's 80 years old. He's still very active. He still walks all the time. He works on his motorcycles. He works on his cars. That's why he's still moving, But anytime I go to the gym, he goes to the gym. Anytime I go and ride my bike, he rides his bike. And I can hear him talking on the phone to his buddies, and he'll be like, yeah, if Adam can do it, there's no reason I can't do it. I'm perfectly healthy. Why am I not doing it? And that's what I want.
It's
people
inspiring
to hear
him to
this
get up and
story
move.
and get up and do something because
Exactly.
you can, I couldn't, and I still did. Just do it. Just move. Do something.
Don't take it for granted. Don't take life for
Right.
granted. Don't take your body for granted. I can't even say it any better. That's perfect. And I love that your dad is supporting you, but simultaneously you're motivating him,
Right.
which is such a fucking beautiful thing. So fuck yeah. I'm so excited to see where you're going to continue to go and keep tabs on you now that I'm stalking you on Instagram, not in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's the hair. It's definitely the hair.
I
feel like you should.
The next thing is on May 30th. It's World MS Day.
Okay.
I will be down in Louisville, Kentucky. We're doing a panel thing. It's in person if you're in the area, but it's mainly a virtual event. So I'm going to start sharing it out soon. There's 6 of us, and Phoebe, who put it on, she runs DAMS, which is Dance a Mile in My Shoes. So dancing got her moving and doing stuff. And in her own words, she wanted to get a bunch of badasses together and tell their stories. So that's what we're doing.
I love that.
You have shirts? Because I want a shirt.
I do. Oh my God, fuck yeah. It's at my website. But before we talk about my shirts, so can you tell people how to purchase a shirt or any sort of merch from you and how to find you on Instagram?
I can try.
You got it.
So Instagram, it's MS with the wrong MFer. TikTok's MS with the wrong MFer. I'm on Facebook, Adam Powell in Michigan. I do not have a website. I need to get a website set up. I've been doing this literally all by hand. I have filled out every single envelope with a Sharpie on my own that I have sent my shirts out to. But I have a bunch of random designs and random sizes. But the goal to get the nonprofit going, get the website up, get the merch there. That way people can just click it, ship it. I have the stickers. I have a lot of different stuff. So I'm hoping that I can get that all involved in a website.
And this is for
once
all
I get
of
the nonprofit.
All the badass people that have MS. If you want to buy them a cool fucking gift, especially if they have dark humor, definitely do that. So can they reach out to you on Instagram, or do you recommend that they email you?
Facebook.
Perfect.
That's one of my biggest things. I try to be very good about actually responding to people and talk to people. If you're going to message me and you actually have something you want to ask me about, I am 100% going to respond to you. And I encourage people to do that.
All right. So if you want some merch, go to our website, www.plottwiststillalive.com. I have to do it that way. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
It's creepy and lovely. I'm all about it.
Yes, thank you. And then if you want to email us, it's plottwiststillalive@gmail.com. You can also follow us on our socials, Facebook, on Instagram, same name, Plot Twist Still Alive. Are you getting the fucking theme here? It's all the same. And
Wait,
then
what is it again?
obviously,
hold on. One more time.
Plot Twist Still Alive. But then there's the 2 dots. I think it's a colon, right, in the middle. I shouldn't be able to use that if I don't know what it means. But I was a nurse, not a fucking teacher, so here we are. And then also,
it's a colon. It is a colon.
Yes. And if you, again, summer video, all of these will also be put out on audio. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, or Buzzsprout. And please leave us a fucking review. 5 stars, bitch, because I've been through cancer 3 times. He's done the MS thing at least once, and we have a bunch of other people. We need 5 stars. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Thank you very much. But also, I love the light that you are. I love that you're using your platform and the thing that is the darkest thing that's ever happened to you to change the fucking world, help people that are also dealing with it. Keep that shit up. That's incredible. A lot of people can't do that. Like we said, it is a choice, even if you don't feel like it is. And I think you're allowed to fill your cup while also helping others. That's usually the best thing
It
in
is.
life. So
it makes me
I'm
feel
very,
so good to help others.
I love that. I'm very proud.
If one person gets something out of like one of my posts or one of my talks or one thing, like I feel like I'm a complete success. Like I got
Amen.
to somebody. And I
You
love
did.
it.
I always like to give people resources for things and including Jessica's information if that's possible, just so that if there's someone in Michigan going through it or people are willing to travel, or even, if you know anybody that does any financial assistance or helps support pages that you've found helpful, because again, not all of them are made the same.
Right.
Please send me that information and I'll make sure to put it on my blog.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Faux
then we got to
show.
end this shit the right way. So we're far away, but I'll put a hand clap in later. Don't worry. So we're going to do a high five, still alive, and then do your evil laugh.
I
I got
Is that pretty good? Was that all right?